Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Mustafa, and this is Muslim Boot Camp. Now, we're gonna do things a little bit different than what most people do. This is an introduction, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you some information about me, about my education, qualifications to be doing these videos. A lot of people don't do that. They say, well, I was a former Baptist, or I was a former minister, or I was former this or former that. But I guarantee you, most of them could not prove that in any way at all. Now, maybe they had ministered in a church somewhere, or maybe they'd done some things, but that doesn't make them a minister. And I want to show you why, and I'll show you what I mean a minister is. Now, as in the beginning, this is my certificate of license. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can. But this is when I was licensed early on. It's about in 1992 at Calvary Baptist Church. This was licensed to the gospel ministry. Now this other one right here is 13th of June 93, and that's a certificate of ordination. And what you see here on the side is all the pastors that attended that ordination and all the various people that showed up, the deacons and things that actually laid hands onto you. That's part of the ordination ceremony. So these two things I wanted you to see: license, ordination, Baptist minister. Now, I'm not trying to fool you in any kind of way. I've been to school for a long time, a real long time, and I'm going to show you some of the diplomas from that school. I don't know if we're going to go through them all, but anyway, this is Liberty University. I don't know if you can see it, but this was an Associate of Arts that I took there early on as I started that education. Associate of Arts. Here's a permanent member of the Liberty University Alumni Association. Papers are falling everywhere. This is a Bachelor of Science, and this was in Christian education. And a couple of diplomas here, Associate of Arts and Associate of Science. And this is from Faulkner State Junior College. And then the diploma from Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary. It's a big one. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary. Now, to become a minister, most people have to have at least those basic credentials. If they don't, they're not a minister. Now, the one I'm really proud of is these right here. This was my Shahada that I took in 2018. And this is a diploma from IOU in Gambia, Africa, and it's Basic Islam. And it was about a year long, something like that, about a year. So these two things right here, I'm really proud of these two things. But anyway, we're going to start this channel, Muslim Boot Camp. Actually, it's going to be boot camp, and it's not necessarily for Muslims. It's going to be for everybody. It's going to be for atheists, Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever you are. It's going to be for everyone, because you're all going to learn something new. You're going to learn something about one another, especially if you're a Muslim, and this is what I'm making this channel for. You're going to learn something about Christians. How do you give dawah to Christians? How do you do it? How do you start talking to them? How do you get it going? What kinds of things are they interested in, and what do they believe? Because that's the important thing. What do they believe? And you're going to find out that it's a whole lot different probably than what you think it is. So we're going to go down that road, and we're going to come up with some things from the Bible. We're going to go through various topics in the Bible, like Trinity and all these other things that are out there. And you know, I've watched videos on YouTube, and I've seen guys come out, and I'm a Baptist minister, I'm a minister of some kind, and they come out with these 10 crazy reasons why Jesus is not God. And if you're going to bring that up to a Christian, I mean, you're going to be in deep water, because it's just not something he's going to believe. You know, you got 10 reasons there, you got a few verses there. They got 27 books that portray Jesus as a little bit more than just a prophet, a little bit more than just a man. So we're going to go through some of these things, and you're going to understand what I'm talking about later on. But this is going to be a useful channel. I believe it's going to add value. It's going to add some value to your life, and it's going to show you and describe some of these things that we need to go through. It's not easy. It's not easy giving dawah, okay? This is not an easy thing. You just can't come up there and, like I said, do these 10 things and, you know, everything is straightened up. You know, hey, that's... And all the Muslims are going to say, yeah, that's right, yeah. But it's not right. And it's not going to work. And it's just going to create some kind of a problem between you, your relationship to a Christian, and it's just not going to be what you're expecting it to be. And I spent a lot of time on YouTube. I gave you these qualifications because early on I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube, and I was interested somewhat in UFOs, and I'm going to throw this out there. You can do it what you want, but I remember back in about 1979, I was hunting up in Michigan, and I had seen something extraordinary. So this is what led my interest in this field. And I was out there early in the morning before light, and I was going to my post, you know, where you sit and wait for the deer to come by. And I was looking up in the sky, and I seen this bright light, very bright light, and it was kind of in the distance, but then it kept coming closer and closer and closer, getting brighter and bigger. And then all of a sudden, I'm thinking in my mind, well, this has got to be one of those falling stars or something or another, you know. So I'm just waiting for where it's going to go down, you know, in a streak. But it never did. It just kind of hung there. All right. So I'm thinking, wow, you know, they say a lot about the planet Venus and all this and that. You know, it's so bright and all. So I'm figuring, well, it's probably not that. It's probably not the planet Venus. And it's just sitting there for about a minute. And then all of a sudden it just shoots out at a high rate of speed, you know, horizontally. And I don't know how far it did. It just went so fast you couldn't keep your eye onto it. It just was a streak. And just made a 90-degree turn straight up and just faded off into space. And I said, what in the world was that? You know, that's something I didn't see. Now, was that UFO on my mind? No, it wasn't UFO. I was thinking maybe, you know, I'm near an Air Force base up here in Michigan. And the government's got something out there, you know, they don't want nobody to know about, so maybe that's what it was. But anyway, as I go through, who are you going to tell? I mean, who are you going to tell this to? Because, you know, they're going to look at you like you're goofy or something nuts, you know. People just, at that time, back in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, it just wasn't a big thing. People didn't talk about that much. But I ran across some videos, and I ran across this guy named Bob Lazar. And I was watching, you know, he worked at Area 51, he said he was a nuclear physicist and all this and that. And you know, you look for his credentials, you know, what's giving credibility to what he's saying, and you can't find any credentials. Nothing, zero, there's nothing there, no credentials. And I'm starting to think, well, how can that be? You know, I went to school. What do you do with your diplomas? I mean, you just throw them away? I can understand maybe the school says, well, we don't have record of you for one reason or another. But I've got copies of copies of copies of copies, and I mean, you could throw all you want away, and I'm still going to have something somewhere. So I just couldn't find anything on this guy, and I figured, you know, this guy's got to be a big liar. He's either a big liar, or he's working for the government, and he's giving disinformation, you know, saying that people are coming here from another planet or something or another. I think he said he had spaceships and he worked on and back engineering and all. I think he's full of beans. I think it was all a bunch of hogwash, especially when you can't find his credibility. So that's why I've done this. This is the introduction. You're going to learn a lot of things throughout this series, this boot camp series, and I think it's going to be valuable to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taking the time to be doing these videos if I didn't think they were going to be valuable to you and something that you could use. Especially if you're not from this culture, American culture. You're going to look at these videos and you're going to learn a little something about American culture. It's not probably what you think it is, and it's probably way different than what you think it is. So we're going to have a good time. I don't know how many videos we're going to have in this series, but we're going to go through, inspiration of the Bible, the Trinity, various problems with the Bible. We're going to talk about noted figures that are talking about these problems, like Bart Ehrman is one. Bart Ehrman wrote several books on the subject, and we're going to talk about some of these books. So stay tuned. Don't lose me on the internet, because you can take and lose me real easy on YouTube if you don't subscribe. Hit the bell for new videos, because I'm going to probably be doing a video a week, something like that. Somewhere around a video a week. Hit the bell, subscribe, and enjoy. Assalamu alaikum.